Hello, the following video is a recording from our 6th Artist Feedback AMA session held within MetaJungle Discord. This live session was held on January 25th and was hosted by Mike Schmidt and Jeremy Cohen. Definitely want to give a big thank you to them for hosting and all that they contributed to this session. And thank you to the MetaJungle members who volunteered to have their artwork reviewed. And to those community members who attended and contributed as well. These artist feedback sessions are an awesome opportunity whether you are an artist and would like to learn how to improve your work or also collectors looking to find artists in the space. So we hope that you enjoy this session and everyone has the opportunity to learn and grow together.
Anyway, all right, I'm gonna start by introducing a special guest that we have today, Jeremy Cohen, someone who's very near and dear to my heart. One of my best friends. I went to school with Jeremy. We both graduated from the School of Visual Arts in New York City. And in school, we actually had to do critique class like what we're going to do today. And we had to do it every year. It was like freshman critique, freshman, sophomore, junior, and then senior thesis. And in those critiques, we would have to be able to talk about work and how it made us feel. They would never really let us say, I like this or I don't like this. And the teachers would always challenge us as to, why you don't like it or why you do, because just saying that is not really helping anyone. So we have a bunch of experience in that. And, after school, Jeremy went on to become extremely successful. He's been working for like a decade now in New York City, and he does lots of commercial work with a lot of big corporations, and he's also does a lot of his own personal work that's done really successful and has been some iconic and historic work. One of the works that he's done is his first drop, which was at Rooftops, where during the COVID-19 lockdowns, people in New York, they're very social people. They get out, they like to do a lot, and a lot of people couldn't do that, so they seek refuge on their rooftops because a lot of people have rooftop access in Brooklyn. And so Jeremy was using a telephoto lens, uh, almost like a wildlife photographer, like some of the wildlife people we have here. But obviously, he's photographing human beings on top of their roofs, um, either like within solitude or in joy or exercising or in a meditative state. And it was something that it was a project that like sort of like really brought people joy and happiness in a time that was not so hopeful. And through that series, he went viral with something else that was really interesting as well, with which is this quarantine cutie series that he did, where he flew a drone from his rooftop because he saw a cute girl on another rooftop with a message for her, and then they basically started dating, and that went viral, and it's called Quarantine Cutie. If you guys want to look it up, so Jeremy's had lots of success in the aspect of like building relationships with people, and also, one last thing is a portrait series called "Today I Photographed," where he photographed for how many days was it, Jeremy? You did a new portrait.
It was, I did it daily for 614 days, I think.
So that's dedication, right? When I talk about consistency. So he photographed a new person. So he like challenged himself to meet new people and photograph a different person and ask them about their story for over 600 days. So that's just a brief introduction of Jeremy. He's an incredibly fun, charismatic, and probably the kindest person that I know. So we're really lucky to have him here today, sitting on this critique.
Well, thank you so much for that intro, Mike. Yeah, Mike has been one of my longtime friends. I still remember walking into SVA for the first time at the cage, which is where we got all our gear to rent, and I saw Mike there, and we said hi to each other, and he was telling me how he just got out of the reserves and was coming to school on the GI Bill, if I believe.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I just got out of the I was a search and rescue controller in the
yeah,
U.S. Coast Guard. I did
and
10 years and then used the GI Bill to go to school for my passion.
and I remember you got into photography because you were taking photos of cars in Hawaii where you're stationed. And I remember seeing you in New York with these Hawaiian tattoos, or like, seemed tropical tattoos with waves and stuff. And you're in New York, and I never really met someone from out that far west, so it was cool. We've been friends since, and yeah, I'm really excited to do this today because Mike and I in school, this is what we would do a lot of every week in our classes. We would bring in work that we were working on, and we'd be sitting in a class, and we would get critiqued, and we would critique others, and it's a really great way to help each other grow as artists.
Thanks, Jeremy. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen. And you guys should be able to see me, what I'm looking at. You guys got that on your shared screen now?
Yeah, we got it. And also, I unmuted some of the artists that are in here, so they should be ready
Cool.
to go.
Is Steve in here? Slang 83. We'll talk about Costa Rica dreams first.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, Steve? How's it going? Nice to
Pretty
have you
good. How are
here.
you today?
Good, man.
Yeah,
It's
thanks for
nice to
doing
have
this.
you here. Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have the artist here. A lot of times the artist will, doesn't necessarily get up on the mic, or maybe they don't even make the AMA. But it's cool to have you here. Appreciate you getting
Yeah.
on. Thank you.
No,
So
no problem.
when did you go to Costa Rica, Steve?
That was January 3rd to the 13th.
Okay, cool. And it's a lot of these shots really beautiful, man. It makes me want to visit Costa Rica. I've talked for a while about visiting. My girlfriend visited there already, so we're actually going to do Ecuador instead next month. We're going to do
Oh,
2 weeks in the Amazon, and then we're going to do 1 week on Galapagos Islands. It's going to be really cool.
cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that collection if you do make a collection out of that.
I'll definitely be making a collection for sure. I'll definitely be shooting a lot of pictures while I'm there, and probably slowing down a lot of our hikes and stuff. But
It's probably a lot cheaper in Ecuador. Costa Rica was a little expensive. That's the only negative thing about that country. But everything else was gorgeous. I mean, from a, a photographer's perspective, it had everything like volcanoes, beaches, rainforests, you name it, had it all.
I see it absolutely. And so you have 20 images in here, right?
Yep.
And I think that we could call this down, to be honest, to like maybe 10 images or so. I think that there's definitely some standout images in here. I mean, if you're looking at my screen, you'll see that I've hearted some of the ones that I think are really stand out. I think you definitely have a lot of waterfalls, and I think that we could bring that down to like a few of the stunning ones. And it looks like so you only sold one piece so far, and I think it's a good idea to like, try to sell out a first collection and maybe not start off with so many images if you didn't have like a large marketing campaign or something beforehand, or like large anticipation and stuff. So, I mean, I'll give you an idea of like what. So I do this sometimes where like I will kind of grab like what I think are like some of the and this is in no particular order, images that I think are like, some of the most standout ones to me. This is
Yeah.
just
So
absolutely beautiful. You see this? Can you see my
I'm
screen?
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to look at your screen here, but it's just like in two blue squares that are rotating. It's like trying to load or something. I don't know if
How
anyone
about
else can
everyone
see it.
else?
It's going good for
I,
me.
I can see it.
Okay. Maybe it's just me. Like I'm clicking on your name, Mike Schmidt, and that's where it's supposed to load, right? Or
Yeah, click watch stream. There should be a button that says watch
yeah.
stream.
um, it's okay. You can just go ahead. I'll listen, but I'll try to watch.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's always going to be a recording afterwards, right? And so, like, in the recording, like, if Goon, who's the community manager, is doing the recording, then you'll be able to see it from his screen. And since you're the first person that we're going over, you'll be able to see. So, like, I picked out, like, so, and this is just one opinion, right? And so, like, I picked out some of the ones that I thought were really beautiful here. Like, the one we're looking at right now looks like it's like this. how do you call that? Like almost like a gazebo walkthrough. Some of these photographs, like it really feels like you're there. Beautiful waterfall. You have this. I tend to like a lot of your verticals. I think you shot this trip really well in vertical, and I think you do have a couple of good horizontals. This being one of them here, which is like this. This it looks like an active. I don't know if it's an active volcano or if that's just how the clouds were forming at that time, but that's a really beautiful shot.
You're talking about the Arnell volcano shot?
It's really orange and green.
Yep. Yeah, that's the Arnell one.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Then you have another waterfall shot where there's like steps that are like leading down. It like brings you. I love you're showing us this perspective here through this like leading line of like walking down the stairs into this beautiful pool of a waterfall. And you have a lot of waterfalls. So, if you have, 7 waterfalls in here, maybe 3 is a good idea. Maybe 3 is a better idea. Then you have this one's sold. It was it looks like a drone shot. I mean, it has to be a drone shot unless you're really good at climbing super tall trees. But it's
definitely a drone shot.
yeah, it's of like a really pastel orange sort of beach with the water coming in, and there's like one couple laying on the beach there, which really makes me want to be there because it seems really peaceful. And I like the bridge shot that you got too, like this straight down bridge photograph, and I love the colors of your work in some of this. So that's something that I noticed too, is that some of these you have these real true to life colors. Like in this photograph, this is really true to life greens to me. And I tend to lean towards that. Whereas in the volcano shot with the sunset, it feels a bit oversaturated for me. And I know this needs to be like a saturated image, but I don't know how cohesive it feels in the same series as something like the ones where the colors seem a lot truer. So, and this last waterfall I have here, I think you would know this one because I think you priced it higher than the other ones. You had a really blue sky, and you have like some really, really nice waterfalls coming in. It looks like there's one person just like sitting there or ready to jump.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Jump Ride Nayaka Falls one, I believe.
Yeah, sure. So,
Yeah.
I think the main point for me is that you have a lot of these other shots that I would go through that like this, a Costa Rican sunset with this palm tree that just some of these that just don't hold the same weight to me as some of the other ones. I think that some of the more beautiful shots get lost in like Welcome to the Jungle, for instance, this drone shot. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at here. It sort of seems like a hut with like a huge kayak coming through it, or it could even be a plane that's
Plane,
housed
yeah.
under a hut.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there's. Are you able to see my screen yet or no?
Let me check
Like,
again. It's still rotating blue squares,
okay.
unfortunately.
Like if you're in your own series, so like Monteverde hanging bridges.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
Sure. So like, I think that there's a beautiful idea here, and I think it's a good shot or a really good shot. But I think you have a lot of great shots in here, and so I think that you could definitely take away some of the shots that aren't as great, and call this down to something that's like maybe 10 instead of 20 images. And that doesn't mean that we're to throw away these images or anything, but maybe they could be used in another series.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think your descriptions are fantastic. You have, I think everyone should have this bare minimum in their descriptions. The title, the artist name, the location, and the edition. And I've mentioned this before a few times, but I'll mention it again just because a lot of people aren't hearing me. But if I was to buy this, right, this like metadata or whatever you want to call it stays with me, and I don't think that I could hit you up and that you can edit and change that anymore now because this is mine. So this is like my digital evidence that you, Steve, is telling me that this is one of one, right? So if I see it on Tezos and it's getting resold or something, then like at least I have something that says no, 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 like this is the blockchain doesn't lie and this is here, you know. So really good job on the descriptions.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time. I think that you've really brought Costa Rica to life, and like I really want to go there now. Do you have any thoughts on this, Jeremy?
Hey, yeah. Also, hi, Steve. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Um,
too.
I think my main critique's pretty similar with Mike's. Well, first of all, beautiful images. I think it should also be edited down. I think that's going to be a main theme. It's a main theme in general when critiquing a lot of photographers' work, especially putting up a collection, is less is more. And that goes for a lot of things in life as well, but also photography. It can be difficult because we'll take photos that we will be really, because of our personal experience to it, we'll be really drawn to it and want to include it in the series. But sometimes that might not even be the best photo for the series. Um, and when I'm looking at the series, the first thing I think is I almost see two different series within one because there are a bunch of waterfalls. Like just at first glance, it looks like out of the 20 photos, it looks like 10 of them are waterfalls. So,
Mhm.
um, what I would suggest, well, now that it's minted, in retro, like if we were to look at this before we minted, I would even say maybe post these as two different series. One just called like waterfalls and
Well, he still can because this is
okay.
open
So
sea.
so something
So
that I would just like suggest if you were interested in, because it looks like you're pretty drawn to waterfalls, and if you plan on traveling more to like locations like this, what if you just did an ongoing series of like waterfalls around the world? Because that's something that especially if you're interested in exploring that subject, I think as a collector, it could be really cool to like, you have this common denominator of a waterfall, but there's all these variables of different locations and different lighting and this and that. So that's just one idea that comes to mind. Sorry if I'm blabbering a little bit. This is just what's coming to
No, no, it's
mind.
all
no,
good.
no,
It's
Um,
all
no.
good.
so
What you're saying is perfect. He could
okay.
still, since this is OpenSea though, he could still do that. So on OpenSea, just because it's minted on OpenSea, you can still delete images from the series and cull it down, which is really cool. In the future, maybe we won't be able to do that. Now, if artists have collected from the series already, then if you're going to cull it down, I think out of respect to so it looks like you have one purchase in this. Out of respect, would be like message that artist and say, like, hey, I'm interested in, making this series 10 images instead of 20. And, that's probably better off for the person who bought from you anyway, because now they're part of a series that's actually more rare. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Jerm, but I just know that you didn't know that you can actually do
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Cool. Well, I
Mhm.
totally agree with that. And yeah, I think so you should edit down and I would get a mix of like, maybe a couple waterfalls or maybe not any if you're gonna do another project that are just waterfalls. Um,
Yeah. Which
and yeah,
images would you?
sorry, what's that?
Sorry, I was just going to ask, which images would you cut from the collection if you had to choose?
Yeah, I'm looking through them now. Should I share my screen mic or should I just talk about it?
I mean, you could share your screen,
Uh,
but
Yeah, maybe it'll
you
work
know,
out.
probably
I
probably
don't. The thing
easier.
is, yeah, the thing is like we have a lot of artists to talk about, and so
Okay,
like
let's talk about
he'll
it. Yeah.
be he'll be able to see like in the replay of this like the ones that I sort of like hearted and like selected and get an idea of the ones that they're so right off the top of my head like a Costa Rican sunset, palm tree tapestry, like I think I would say that I think those can go if you're looking at my screen like
Yeah.
welcome to the jungle, um, Costa Rica beach dreams seems
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I mean, maybe this one can stay. It's just that the coloring seems a little strange compared to the rest. Like, seems like your blue sky is a little different here. Your greens are a bit different. So if you
I
make
agree.
yield,
Yeah, I would say Yeah, I would stay consistent with the editing. I agree there because I think Costa Rica Beach Dreams is one of the stronger images, but just compared to the other images in the series, you kind of want to make them all look, similar edit, similar
Yeah.
colors. Like the greens in that and the blues in that are a lot more saturated than like the images next to it. So in the future, I try to match that a little bit more so everything looks a little bit more cohesive. Also, looking through it, I would say Hanging Bridges of LA Fortuna and Monteverde Hanging Bridges. Um, they're just like two bridge shots right next to each other that are pretty similar. So if the series is edited down small, I would probably pick like one bridge shot, especially because like Enchanted Rainforest image, which isn't a bridge, but it has a similar, like entrance photo, right? Entrance composition right at the beginning. I would definitely cut one of those three. So there's not like a bunch similar. So that goes kind of the same for waterfalls, like how there's like a lot of waterfalls in the series. I would, have a couple, maybe like just have a variety of different images while also that's the challenge, having a variety of images, but still keeping some cohesion to the series.
Yeah, like with my other collections, I have at least 20 in most of them. And like as a photographer, I have to get better at slimming down my overall collections. Because like sometimes I just fall in love with so many of my own
Totally, yeah,
photos
no,
and I just throw them
We all do.
in
Yeah.
yeah,
collections.
it's all of
Yeah.
us. Trust me, it could be really challenging, and that's why critiques are so helpful because
Yeah.
you talk to get some other eyeballs on it, and that's when we can really help each other do this. So
And I'll definitely pare it down. I'll try to get it down to between 10 and 15, maybe 10. I'm sure I can get it down to 10 and eliminate like the first three or, well, maybe not that beach one. I do like that one, but that is edited very differently. You're right.
right,
So it kind of lacks cohesiveness with the rest of the collection, but
Mhm.
definitely the
sure,
first three. Like the first three, I'm not like crazy in love with. I do like them. That's why like I price them lower.
right,
They may have some appeal to others. Um, hence the price. But yeah, I think, if I'm gonna cull this down to 10, yeah, the first three I'll definitely get rid of. Although I do like the jungle one, Welcome to the Jungle, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. But
yeah,
yeah.
and
And
then
definitely one
one
of those
last
bridge shots.
Yeah. And then one last thing I would say, totally unnecessary, just like an idea that came to mind that could be cool, take it or leave it, is because like to really tie in the series, since it's called Costa Rica Dreams, it kind of makes me think like maybe each image is a dream of some sort, and maybe you had some like writing with each image, especially if you're cutting them down and say there's only 10, maybe you write like a very short poem that's a dream with each one, or maybe just like a sentence or two about what this dream is about, and just this that story could help draw it could be more interesting to a collector, for someone more keen for someone to want to collect it if they like relate to that dream or something. So just a little
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, that's a good idea. How do you feel about the pricing on these? Do you think it's pretty reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, I think that your pricing is within reasonable range. Is this the first series of yours?
No, no, I have a few other collections. I think I have 4 or 5 other collections, and they're generally around the same price between 0.15 and point 0.3. So,
Okay,
yeah,
and
I
so
try
and
and stick
so
around there.
have any of those series sold out or sold a
None,
lot? Okay,
none.
so
No, like,
okay,
I have
so that
maybe
this
3
is
sales in total.
so then that's a huge thing to talk about then. So then what you're doing by continually putting out more series is you're actually flooding your own market. So if you have
Mhm.
5 series out there, it becomes a lot to juggle. Like when you want to talk about your work on Twitter, like you want to show your own work or whatever, you have to pick one of 5 different series to do that with. It's also a
Mhm.
concern to collectors when there's multiple series that aren't sold out. So it's the best idea. So if you have other series on here and they don't have any sales, I mean, I know it's work, but I would probably remove all of the series that you have on there that don't have any sales and sort of start fresh with 10 images from Costa Rica or one, because you have a sale on here, so you can't necessarily remove this collection, but um, yeah, and we all make these mistakes, but that's definitely a big one, and everyone listening should learn from that idea of like not flooding your own market with work, because then you get stuck in a situation where you have a lot to do.
Yeah, I'm thinking of eliminating 2 of my series, so I'd have 3 in total, 3 that I'm very confident with. But even that, that's probably a lot for, someone who hasn't sold out any of them yet. So let's see.
So are they all on OpenSea?
Yeah, I do have a few on Foundation as well, but the bulk of my work is on OpenSea.
Yeah, so like let's say, for instance, what you have one photo series out on Foundation, a collection, one out on Sloika, and maybe one out on OpenSea. Okay, fine. But if in general, I think it's best to just have one. And I'm not the best example of this because I have 2 different series out right now. So, but if you have it on different platforms, at least, then the collectors, in a sense, don't necessarily know all down. Is this the only series where you have a sale?
I have 2 other series with 1 sale each.
Okay. So in closing thoughts, then I would keep those 3 series alive, since you have to now for the collector, because they bought from you. But I would call down those series to a smaller amount of images, and just continue to stay consistent in the community, and be patient on on getting those out into people's eyes, and yeah, it'll over time you'll do fine. But I would definitely, the ones where there's no sales yet, I would nix those series, and just be patient to post those later.
Yeah, that's a good
Cool.
idea. I have a K10 series where I haven't gotten any sales, so I'll probably nix that one and maybe one other. But yeah, I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for the feedback.
You got it, man. No problem. So we'll move on to Trapped in Thoughts.
Trapped in
Mm,
thoughts.
yeah, Trapped in Thoughts here. So there's no link to, let's see. There's a link to their Twitter here. I'm trying to figure out which artist this is exactly. This
Hi
is
guys, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
Cool.
how are you, man?
Uh good. And your name is Hermia? Is that how you
Hermia.
say it? Hermia.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Hermia.
Cool. Nice
Hermia,
to meet you.
nice to meet you, Hermia. And yeah, Mike, can I chime in real quick?
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah. Why don't you start off on this one then? That'd be great.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think Hermia right off the bat, I think before even looking at the photos, I think you should have it set up so it's like easily linked to your Twitter. Any collector that wants to find your more about you or anything, they should easily be able to click through and get any of that.
Ye- Yeah, it's weird. I put my Twitter and Instagram on there. I don't know why it's not showing.
It might, if we like click on one of these photos and we go to your actual profile. Okay, so
Yeah,
this is where it shows. Okay, so you have
yeah,
that there. But off of, piggyback off of what Jeremy was saying, you do have like your description. I noticed. So your description here is it just says, chapter 2, the trap, where, I
yeah,
don't know if you heard before this, like having that information in there with the description, like your artist name, your, the name of the collection and the name of the actual piece, and then letting us know that it's a 1 of 1, unless it's not, maybe unless it's a 1 of 10 or something. But that information is going to help you, because collectors, from what I've been talking to, and I've been talking to a lot of big collectors in the space, they want that type of information within the description of each image, because it stays with them.
Yeah. And
yeah.
then
You're right, man. Yeah, go on, go on.
So yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
you could definitely, you want to go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's sorry if I'm running over anyone's words. I just get inspired to talk.
No, please, because I'm always talking in these, so I love it.
Cool. All right, so I just checked out the images and beautiful work. You know what you're doing in the studio. You have editing skills, and even like off the bat, I'm mostly drawn to
Thank you.
one image in particularly, which is Terra X Acume, which I love in between moments in photos, and this feels like very unposed. It's like there's so much expression in her hand and her hair blowing in the wind. You could see
Yeah,
like a couple whiskers of hair. It's like a beautiful image. So I really love that one. Um, my two
thank
critiques
you,
off,
man. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
of course. My two critiques off the bat is one is a lot of these images look very similar. Like specifically the 2 and 3 chaos and reaching out. I know they're like edited slightly different. But as a collector, I think I don't know if I'd want to collect either of those because there's two that are just very similar. Um, and then another thing that just jumps out at me right away is I look at this series and it's so like ephemeral and like ethereal and like flowy and darker colors, and then how you branded the project with the typeface, the font that you used with trapped in thoughts, and like it's like all caps, and it's like very it's like almost Helvetica bold, and it just like it's kind of like it doesn't feel like the photos look. It's like very in your face as opposed to like more wispy or uh if I don't know if I'm making sense with that,
No,
or
you
Mike.
are. You are.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, and you're pretty spot on because if you look at mine, the two that I did not favorite were those two. And it's almost like, and me and Jeremy did not talk before this or anything. I just gave him the links and we sort of, so you have these two images, right? And this one, Chaos, when you open it up, it's the only one that's sort of like a double, triple exposure or something. And I'm not saying I
Yeah,
don't like this
multi.
image. I'm not saying I don't like this image because I actually really do like it. I just wouldn't buy it in this collection. I would buy it in another collection where the whole collection was sort of about, that type of experimental choices that you're making, right? And
You're
so,
100% right,
yeah.
Mike. You're 100% right.
Thanks.
Can I explain something? Can I explain
Sure.
something to you?
Yeah, please.
Uh, yeah, the Chaos one. It's supposed to be a cover of the collection. And
Mhm.
in the last seconds, I thought it might be good to put that in the collection too, and probably I was wrong.
Sure. Well, I mean, I really appreciate your ability to take the constructive feedback that we're giving you. My
You're
personal
100% right,
yeah,
guys.
my personal favorites was also the one here, Taraxacum. Is that how you say?
Mhm.
I really love the gallows. I think that would be it's just so soft and beautiful, and I love how she's sort of like pulling this up, almost choking herself. There's just a beautiful story to it that I want to know more about, and she's just absolutely lovely looking. That one sold.
Thank you, man.
Realization,
That means a
yeah,
lot.
you're welcome, man. Realization is another really beautiful shot. It's a little the clarity is a little less than the other one. I don't mind it. I don't mind the clarity being like that
Yeah,
less because her face is a bit softer here, and it almost fits for the clarity to be like that. So I think that the biggest takeaways in this, and I don't think that you need a lot of feedback, is just that um, this image here, probably has to go, right? And
yeah.
I think you're going to sell out of this. You already sold two of them. Any projects before this that you have?
And no, it's my first ever collection, man.
Cool. And so just understand too that like at the prices of like 0.35, and
Yeah, it's a
zero
little bit
zero
high.
point. I'm not saying that. I'm not here to tell you what your work is worth because some of these shots could probably sell for 1 ETH or 2 ETH in foundation or something.
Yeah,
But if you don't have a sold out series first, it becomes harder, right? So I've noticed a lot of
yeah,
collectors right now are buying between the zero point 0.1 and the zero point 0.2 range, and there's a lot of competition within the zero point 0.1 and the zero point 0.2 range. And
yeah. There's a lot of great parts with that price.
agree, there's a lot, and it's caused me to touch my prices. Like if you look at my last series that I dropped yesterday, you know, I've sold 8 pieces from the series already, but that's because I priced it between 0.1 and 0.2. And sometimes pricing lower is a good thing if you want to get a sellout. And, you know, you've got to also think about royalties. You can get royalties if they resell on secondary, because, you know, I believe my work that I put out is worth more than 0.1, but I'm willing to let the market decide that. And if they do, then, you know, I'm cool with secondary sales because that keeps me alive as an artist. So, you know, I'm not saying your prices are too high. I'm just saying be patient. If you want to keep the prices at this range, just then be patient to receive a sale in those areas. Another thing I would say is that your artist statement, you know, sometimes our own thoughts create a prison inside our head and makes us feel something that we shouldn't, right? We all should be free from our own thoughts, right? And, you know, that's something that resonates with me very much because I've had to master my mind in a sense, and I'm still not there because I still get anxiety. And, you know, even before I have to do the AMA, I have to kind of like sit back, breathe, psych myself up. So, you know, like, and so like, I totally resonate with this, but I'd love for you to expand on it.
Thank
You
you.
know, I'd love for you to expand on this a little bit. And, you know, I see it's
a little bit
sometimes our own thoughts create a prison inside our head that makes us feel something that we shouldn't. I feel that sometimes the thoughts that create a prison inside my own head sometimes make me feel things that I should, because sometimes it's something that I need to face. So I like that it works for me in that sense, and then it also in another sense I can see the other side of it. But I would love if you turn this into like a you know a one sentence you know, artist statement into like, you know, maybe six sentences and really bring us in with that. But outside of that, and the removal of probably chaos and the fact that you need to fix your descriptions with the basic stuff, I think that that's all you need.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I was appreciated.
You're
And
very
by the way,
welcome.
congratulations, Mike. Congratulations on your collection. It's very amazing. I saw that yesterday.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. I put a lot of time and effort into making sure that like those images feel cold and they feel cohesive next to each other. And I've considered, you know, to not have a lot of images that look too much like another image, so that, you know, there's something in there maybe for each collector, right? So
Yeah,
and
all
I
of
learned
them are
that
amazing.
through this, you know, I learned that through looking at other people's work. And like I said, anyone who's in here, don't worry if your work is not up here, if you weren't selected this week. Like take from what we're talking about, make the changes, then hit us up on MetaJungle so that we can take a second look at your work. Because, you know, the people that do that, the people that take the feedback and they go ahead and they change it, you know, one, you know, we have a new respect for you because you're able to take feedback and humility. Two, we know you're the artist behind this account because you made the changes. So it's like a vetting process at the same time. So
Yeah,
really appreciate you
exactly.
being up here. Yeah, really appreciate you being up here, getting on
Thank
the
you,
mic.
guys.
I know it takes
Thank
courage to
you.
get your work critiqued, and you make beautiful work. So thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
You guys helped me a lot. You guys helped a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Cool. So we'll move on to the next one. This is by R. Akalagi. I hope that's how you say it. And if I said that wrong, I'm sorry. And this is Shika Latfala Mosque. Is the artist here? Is the artist here?
Yes, I am here.
Cool. Tell me how to say this.
Yes, it is Sheikh Lutfullah.
Oh, I was off. Okay, cool. Very interesting name. So one of the most beautiful historic buildings in the Middle East. Definitely looks like a beautiful, beautiful historic building. Captured using solely natural daylight. That's my favorite, man. I love daylight. With disastrous sodium vapor lamps of the building turned off to show the beauty. So you're turning off some type of lighting so that you can better detail what you're photographing here?
Yes, that's right. Actually, when I was in that building, I walked into the building exactly at noon when it was about to close for some hours. But I could manage to convince the officials to let me stay into the building. And they told me that they would have to lock me into the building and turn off the lights. And it was a great chance for me because the lights that lit that dome chamber are sodium vapor lamps that have a bad red and orange spectrum. And as you see, most of the tile work of the mosque is in blue color. So that's not a perfect match. When they turned off the lights, it was dark in that dome chamber, but the colors of the tile work was, the beauty of it was revealed.
Gorgeous. Now, Jeremy, do you know the name of that photographer? I mean, and I for some reason I'm like having a brain fart because he's one of my favorite, and we learned him in school where he photographed the movie theaters, where he went into the movie theater and did a long exposure of like the cathedral movie theaters. Does it start with an S?
Let me think on it really quick. It's on the tip of my tongue.
And he shot the waterscapes with the line right through the middle, all those seascapes. He's brilliantly famous too. But it reminds me of something like that, where he's going into this space and he's like, when no one's there, and creating these like beautiful.
Oh yeah. Wait, with the water too. It's Hiroshi Sugimoto.
Yeah, Hiroshi Sugimoto. Yeah, check out. So I would tell you to check out Hiroshi Sugimoto. Just type in Sugi, Sugimoto, and it'll come up, and you can look at his movie theater pictures, which he's most famous for the seascapes, but I actually am a huge fan of the movie theater ones. So he goes inside of movie theaters, and while the movie is playing, he takes a long exposure of the movie theater, and the light from and he keeps the exposure going for the full length of the movie, and the light from the screen of the movie is what illuminates the cathedral architecture of the theaters. Pretty sick. So definitely for some reason reminded me of that. So now to be constructive here and critique a bit here. So it seems like it's a series of 4, and it's all from the same mosque, right? So they're beautiful photographs, but there's something that I'm seeking. I'm seeking more. And this image here is very similar to the first one that I had up, but I think the first one is better than this one. And then my favorite is whatever you did here, and I think that it's your favorite too, because you listed it at 0.5 ETH, half of an ETH.
That's right.
And this is absolutely brilliant, super dimensional. I love the the color relationship and the split down the middle between the blue and the yellows here. You look at the left side yellow, you feel like you actually can just drop into that dome. The right side just has so much beautiful domes and sharp spaces in which you feel like you can just move in and out of. I would love to see a series where you can do something like this, where so talk about this one a little bit, and why it's more successful, even to you, if you've listed it at a higher price.
Actually, it's a picture of the dome chamber, and on the right side you see the mihrab, or we call it in English altar. That's where religious men stand there and say their prayers. And I have pointed my camera right on to the sky. I mean, to the upside, and photographed this standing just between the line between the dome chamber and the altar, and that's because that's why there is this kind of variation in color in this picture. And the reason I love it is, well, it has won international competition, the Wikipedia's annual photography competition, which is the largest photo competition of the world in terms of the number of people that have attended in that contest.
I see that.
For these two reasons, I really love this photo, and it's my favorite. And I priced it a little higher, but I thought that if some collector loves this photo, maybe he or she will contact me, send me a message,
Sure.
and to lower the price. If that happens, I will do that.
No, no, no.
But
I don't want you to get me wrong. I wasn't telling you that the price was high. What I was trying to bring across is that I think it's the strongest image, and I think that you think it's the strongest image, and that's why it's priced the highest.
yes, that's right.
Now, so let me ask you this. What is stopping you from visiting more than one mosque so that we can have an array of different colors throughout an entire collection that really just wants to bring my eye everywhere? Because this collection to me as 4, and some maybe will argue that 4 is enough in a collection, maybe if they're completely different, but I don't think it's enough if they're so similar. So what is stopping you from going to other mosques and doing this, or do you plan on doing that?
Yes, I do have a lot of pictures from various mosques in Isfahan, my city, and Iran, my country. But I wanted to just mint some photographs of one mosque, because there are some other artists that have minted some collections, like you said, from many mosques in different cities. But when for example, one of my friends, Mr. Domiri, has a collection like that, so I didn't want to copy his work, and I just wanted to
That's not copying, though. That's not copying. I mean, the thing is this: they're for it to be one mosque. These are just not different enough from me. Like, if it's going to be one mosque, then maybe some of it has to be from completely different vantage points of the mosque. Maybe they all shouldn't be from mostly the ceiling. Maybe detailed, close-up, detailed parts of just one little specific area, or not. Jeremy, do you have anything to weigh in on, like, what I'm saying here, and how do you think he could possibly go about this collection?
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. These photos are beautiful. I think I'm curious if you have more shots, because the beauty in this collection, the beauty is a lot of it is the detail in the mosaic, and these shots, all 4 of them, are similar in the sense that the Mike, you just moved the screen. Well, let me go to my page to see it. Let me bring up the project. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're similar in the sense that the composition for all of them are super pulled back, and you could see like the whole room and how beautiful it is and how vast it is. But I think to change it up a little bit, make the series not all look like very similar images, maybe have some tighter cropped ones if you happen to have an archive of that. That would be interesting for me to see. And then my other critique would be to I think to switch up the description of the project a little bit, I think it leans. I first of all, congratulations on winning that contest. That's amazing. However, I think in maybe I'm wrong here, Mike, but I think in Web3, people, if you try to really piggyback off that to use that as a point to sell your images, I think it might be a turnoff to a lot of collectors.
Yes, I was gonna talk about that too, actually. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think
In
if
the
you,
description, it should be the description should be mostly about like what the project, the series is about, what it means to you, and just talking about that compared to just sharing like that it won this award.
facts, and me and my girlfriend were going over the project yesterday, and we that was a point that we were talking about. So half of the artist statement is about what the work is about and how it makes you feel, and the other half is about this award thing. So like, if 90% of your artist statement was about the work and how it made you feel, and then you had like a little thing at the bottom saying, that this specific image had won that award, I think that's fine. But I think
Yeah,
talking all the way
agreed.
from, does that make sense? Because
Agreed.
I think that is important to some collectors, but I don't think it's as important enough to take up half or more than half of the artist description.
And also, I think that's something that's more appropriate to tweet about too. Like, share the project, what it means to you, and then it's like after you share it, it could be, oh, also by the way, this photo in the series, one of these images is the winner of this contest. But it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be like one of the. I think to boil it down, our critique of this is it shouldn't be like one of the main points of this series.
May I
For
say,
sure.
may I say something?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wrote this description when I was a newbie in this NFT world. And after some weeks, I understood that it's not a great point to mention that. And now you said that, I will definitely change it and talk more about the story of that day and the mosque itself. It has a great 400-year history behind this mosque, and I will talk about that.
I
Cool.
love
Yeah.
it.
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
love it.
That's amazing.
I
Yeah,
love
because
it.
as a collector, for me, that's what I'm more interested in. It's nice to know that, and that's amazing that you won that. But yeah, I mean, you get it. It shouldn't be like in the description like how it is. So cool. Thank you for hearing us out on that.
Sure. And then what about
Thank
the
you.
actual description? So your descriptions look good here within each image. This is perfect. It's one of one artist. Great. Perfect. You're even telling us so the description doesn't just have to have these things. Like, Alpha Trilogy was saying the other day, like, he bought from Tristan Todd's new series, and he said, like, outside of this, what he wrote under there was he's like a landscape photographer. He said it was like reading an adventure novel, and it, like, he bought the photo, based on the beauty of the photograph, but also that it was like an adventure novel. So, at very minimum, when I talk about what should be in the description, it's those things. But you could, after that, write whatever you want. So I definitely think that we gave you the critique that you need, and I would be willing to also look at some other photos from this mosque if you want to shoot some of them over to me and Jeremy to take a look at, because we might be able to say, wow, this is actually a series of 8 and it works as just this mosque. But right now, I don't think that you're there with it working with just these 4. And I'd love to see the other pictures of the mosques, because maybe it operates as a series for multiple mosques, and I wouldn't look at that as copying your friend's project, because it's you're photographing architecture, right? It's not. I'm not copying my friend's project because I photograph snowy winterscapes, or because I photograph street and half the photographers in New York are photographing low light street in the rain. And don't look at it that way. In this space, like my friend Dave Krugman said, we're choosing collaboration over competition, and I thought that was really fantastic. So I hope that resonates with you.
Thank you very much. Actually, I have about 15 or more pictures from this mosque that I took in the same day, but I selected these 4 and just minted these. But I will actually post that photos in my Twitter.
Perfect. Post it on your Twitter. Send us your Instagram if you have an Instagram. We'd love to see it. Thanks for coming up here today. Appreciate that.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you, Malik. I'm very happy to talk to you and
Gotcha.
others.
Yeah, Jeremy. Look, go look up Jeremy and check out some of his work too.
Space.
Who's that?
That was
I
me.
didn't get what you said in the last part.
I meant all the people in this space.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Everyone who's here, of course. So, move on. We're gonna move on to.
And Mike,
Yeah.
really quick, a little unrelated, but this is one of my first times on Discord on my laptop, and like every time I might get a message or someone joins the room, these noises keep happening. Do you know how I turn that off?
I bet MetaGirl might, or Goon, but I don't. I think I just deal with those noises.
Yeah, it's in your user settings.
User settings. Okay, cool.
I'll send you a message.
Okay, thanks so much.
Cool. Yeah, you can do that while I start touching on the next series here. So To Infinity and Beyond, and this is by Asaf Azai. Are you here? Is he here? Can you unmute him if he is?
Yeah, he's here.
Cool. Well, I'm really impressed by this collection. Not only is it like visually stunning, but I love that it's experimental and that you let us know that these are merged images. So if I could ask, that circular is a star trail, and that's a long exposure that's long enough to show the curvature of the Earth through the stars. Is that correct? If the artist wants to talk, he can. Otherwise, I'll just I'll assume that.
Mike, can I help here? This is Mustafa.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that you're all about the Astro stuff, so you definitely know the answer. I know these are combined exposures, and I don't care because they're amazing.
So you see these circles. In the center of the circle, there's actually the North Pole star Polaris. So once you point your camera towards Polaris and take long exposures, like a few minute exposures, then you can align and combine these stars and create these type of images, and these are called star trails. But actually, you cannot leave your camera on for a whole day or for a whole night, because then your sensor is going to melt.
What? Your sensor will melt.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot shoot something like a
Too much
few
light.
hours of. So to actually create a perfect circle like this, you have to be there and shoot this photo for 24 hours, because one star will make a perfect circle in 24 hours, right?
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the artist is sleeping in the sand next to their tripod for 24 hours?
No, but it's not possible, because eventually there will be a day and stars will go. So for these ones, normally you can have something similar to this. I mean, a full circle, but there will be some gap between the lines of the stars. But if the artist is here, it would be fantastic if he could answer. He must have done something else to have these full circles.
Well, he mentions something
Gene,
in his artist
can
statement.
you hear me, guys?
Yes, I could hear you.
Sorry, my microphone didn't work. I needed to reopen Discord.
Cool.
Thank you, Mustafa, for explaining the shots. I'm here.
So I love this one. So let's talk about this one. So you photographed this foreground, and it looks like water to me, right? That's
Yes,
that's one exposure, and or maybe more, I don't know. And then this sky with the star trails is another, correct?
yes, there is. The foreground is shot with ND filters and to get more softness in the sea
in the
and
water.
the water. And the sky is shot. It is another shot, and then I compose them or stack them into one image.
Amazing.
The reason why the sky and the star trail is so smooth, it's the feedback that many people gave me. I did a radial blur on them to make them smooth and more
Yes,
unique.
that is what I meant, actually.
Really nice. So if you see, I mean, I have some of them favorited here. I mean, I love the process that you're doing. You're obviously executing it really well. You know, I'm weird. I'm mostly into the ones that are like really abstract and strange, like this one. I know some other people are probably more drawn to the ones that have like a human figure in it or something. I really love. I don't know why I don't have this favorite. I really love this one here that you did over the barn. Colors, amazing colors. The color relationships here from the blues down to these just really wonderful oranges or whatever you would even call that color, and the greens. Just the color of the shed matching the sky. These purples that you're getting in here too, and this funneled purples. How you were able to um, superimpose this layer into here without it looking fake. Extremely well done. I do
Thank
think
you.
that.
Actually,
Yeah, go ahead.
the post-processing of this collection took a lot of time for me, as you said, and I'm happy that it resonated with my audiences. Thank you.
So now the less, I would say that the less successful ones for me would be like this image. It's for me it's too busy. Like there's a lot going on, and like I understand what you were going for, and maybe this works more for some others, but I'm a bit more interested in the minimal aspect of these photographs. So maybe this one works a bit better. I think this one to me works better than the last one. I think it works a lot better because it's it's less busy, and it feels, I don't know, there's something about this series that has a feel of it does have a feel of solitude, right? Even when there's no one in it, it has that feel of solitude or peacefulness or just exploration, discovery. um, really cool. What do you think of the series, Jeremy?
Sorry, there is a ambulance going by me, as you hear.
Okay. I don't even hear it.
Oh, you don't hear it? Okay. Well, that's cool. There's like I live on a busy street, right? Yeah, there's like an ambulance right outside. I
Yeah.
think the series is really cool. I love the technical aspects of using the circular radial blur you were saying.
Well, it's just it's stars it's a star trail. So like when you keep the exposure open long enough, I believe the curvature of the Earth has something to do with the trail of the star. Am I correct, guys?
Well, actually, you know what you're
Yeah.
seeing again. Sorry if I can interfere here.
You can
Sorry.
talk.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here is actually, you know, the center of the circles is actually, you know, the rotation axis of Earth is pointing that point, the center of the square circle here. So once, like you said, as Earth is rotating, we see that celestial objects are rotating in the sky. And if we look towards, and if we point our camera and lens towards north, and if we exposure long enough, we will see stars will be revolving around one certain point, which is the celestial North Pole. So that is what we are seeing.
Amazing. I love it. I love the series. I love the descriptions. The descriptions are really working out well here. Thanks for Mustafa for jumping in. So that's the Mustafa that teaches the astrophotography classes. Yep, I could see you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he teaches also an astrophotography AMA. So anybody who's interested in astro and deep space photography should definitely check out his AMA. That's something I would love to get into one day. I don't know that I have the patience like you guys do for this. That's why I shoot a lot of the fast-paced street photography stuff. But yeah, I wonder. Go ahead.
Sorry, I want to ask something to Asaf. Uh, did you shoot multiple shots for foreground, and did you stack them and to avoid some kind of noise? I think.
Actually, most of them are shot at sunsets to get more dramatic lighting, and the ones that I shot at night, they are multiple exposures. Some of them are about 2 minutes, and I merged them, as you said, to lower the noise, and of course, I did some post-processing editing to lower the noises further.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I also really love your pricing. I mean, whoever got this for 0.1, congratulations. Like whoever got this for 0.1 ETH, like congratulations. Like quite beautiful, right? And there's still some left here for 0.1. Like I kind of have my eye on this. Like this is gorgeous. Like so and you know and you've got 6 owners, right? So you have some quite a bit of sales. So you know, good job on that. I don't know what you've done to market your work and build relationships and stuff like that, but whatever you're doing, you know, you're doing it right. And you know what, the one that I said that didn't resonate with me as much sold. So somebody bought this one. So you know, like I said, I'm one opinion. So, if Jeremy, if you don't have anything else on this, then we can move on to the next series.
No, I think we covered everything. It's a beautiful series of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck with this, and yeah, can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you,
Next,
thank you guys for having me here. It means a lot for me. Thank you.
I know it does, man. I appreciate that. And we love doing this. So, next series is this yoga series, and this is by Mohit. And just want to point out that this guy is super supportive. He's like always all over my post. He's always retweeting. He's a really supportive guy. Also heard he's really young and like super talented street photographer where he's from. And he did a series here on yoga, which I think is really quite beautiful. And so you'll see I favorited a bunch of shots here. And this was my favorite. Alpha Trilogy told me this was his favorite too. He wanted to buy it, but somebody sniped him. Is the artist here? Mohit, you here? Okay. If not, I know it's late where he's from, so I just wanted to point out.
He's here. His mic's just muted.
Oh, you can unmute his mic? Or he can unmute his mic?
Yeah, it's on
Mohit?
his side.
Okay. Well, he's listening then. So I just wanted to point out, beautiful compositions. Like, love how you're paying attention to not just emotion and shapes and beauty, but that like you frame this in a way that we can see what's going on underneath here in the back as well. Like it's a frame within a frame. And then what's happening over here on the left side is like a repeat of that. And it's just gorgeous. And I love that this yoga class is happening like right off of the water. This is just a really interesting reportage or photojournalistic take at yoga that I just honestly haven't seen before. And I really love it in black and white too, because I think the thing with black and white that's really interesting that relates to yoga for me or complements yoga is shape. I think shape is a really important aspect in yoga because it's all about what shape you're putting yourself in, and being able to see these through black and white allows us to just focus on the shape and not the distraction of color. And once again, like you've got a triangle into a triangle into a triangle, and you've left this space open here to show us that there's a boat going by in the background, which just further amplifies the story of like this is just a really peaceful space to do yoga. So I really admire your perspectives. Another really beautiful one, I think. Is someone speaking?
Mike, Mohit here. I had some problem with my microphone.
Okay, were you able to hear everything I was talking about?
Yeah, I was hearing. Yeah.
Cool, man. So I'm really impressed by this series. I love this shot too.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. The only thing I would say about this that like kind of bothers me like a little bit is like this plastic bag here, and I don't know how you feel about journalism. Some journalists like they don't want to take things like that out of the frame, but like there's a thin line between photojournalism and fine art sometimes, and I would personally like bring this into Photoshop and like select this and use the content aware tool and just eliminate that from like the photograph, because my eye tends to like want to go to this plastic or this jacket or whatever it is, but like really I want to be all over these shapes. Great descriptions. I love the names too. Rhythmic, great. Like I love the titles. You got everything in the title that we need. You even have the medium, the price, excellent. And you have a little story about it. There's a couple of images where I was like, I didn't think that they were as strong as the rest. And, like this one for me now, interesting, like it looks like something really interesting is happening here. But it was still hard for me to kind of figure out what exactly that was or what that piece on the forehead is. And I think that you can do this again and it could come across better. It's also really dark compared to a lot of the other images. So it's kind of an eyesore for the series for me being in here. This photo here, I favorited that one by accident. This photo here was another one that I didn't think was as strong as the other ones. I do think maybe you can keep it and fit it in here. It's kind of a joyful shot of like this sort of relaxation pose, and the dog is joyful. I may take that back. And then, this image here, which I didn't think was quite as powerful as the rest. But for the most part, I think it's really amazing series. And then from afar, I didn't know about this humor picture, but then I zoomed in and realized that like the dog is literally in the same pose as as the humans out here that are doing the yoga. Jeremy, what do you think about this series?
I very much so like this series. I dig it a lot, and that's coming from someone who loves color. Color is a big part of my work. But even this series in black and white, I think they're great, honestly. Uh, Makes me want to do yoga. I'm just looking through them now. I'm drawn to the ones mostly. I like how it's an eclectic mix of different settings and environments of different people doing yoga in. But yeah, I'm most drawn to the ones a little bit closer up where you can see the expression of these people, like the one upside down of the guy's face with his eyes closed and his just nose out. I think that's a really interesting image. And I love the one of the kids where you could see them almost making eye contact on that crazy pose. Even to the one of the dog looking at the people doing yoga and almost doing its own yoga move. It's like there's a little bit of humor in that image. Oh wow, I see that it's called humor. So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
I like this juxtaposition shot actually too. Like, and I love how the bird is like dead center with them, and the bird is making the same pose as they are. And then there's this really cool architectural building next to it. I think this is a really well seen documentary series on yoga. And like I said, there's just a couple of images here that don't fit the same like black and white. Can I call it tonality? And I definitely think it's like this shot here for sure. This pensive shot that I don't quite understand. So otherwise, really great series, and pricing it seems right. I think this is going to be one of those sellout series. Anything else, or you have anything, Mohit?
I kind of just want to do some yoga now.
Yeah, maybe I'll do some after this. I have too much stuff to do around the house because I'm on Twitter all day. All right, I think we can move on to the next series. I think this photographer is really good and knows what to do here. So we just kind of talked about something space, right? So let's talk about the Enlightenment series. And I remember in the chat, you threw up some like thumbs up on this and stuff, Jeremy. You must really have liked the lighting and stuff in these images. I definitely do too, and I don't know if you want me to start off talking, but if you'd like to start talking on this one.
Yeah, you could start with it, and I'll come
Sure.
back.
So, first off, you definitely know how to use a camera. Is the artist here, Declan? If he is, please.
Yes,
Hey,
Mike.
Declan. How you doing? So
Good,
first of
good.
all, good. Good morning. I wanted to say, you really understand how to use a camera. You really understand how to see and how to feel out moments. You have a great eye for natural light. That's clear. Like you know how to make epic photographs with lighting. Now, with that said, just because your series has really great lighting and emotion doesn't mean that it's cohesive. Okay. So what I mean by that is like we have this beautiful picture, which is, the one that I'd buy, right? If I had to buy one, of this woman just walking through this alleyway and this man sitting here, and the lighting is absolutely phenomenal. It's so cinematic. And, it's got a solitude vibe to it. I know that's a continuous vibe in a lot of series. And then we go to something like this, right? Which is also a really cool photograph of, a guy on a BMX bike with some really nice lighting, but just doesn't make sense to the same series as me. And so, I threw a folder together and, I sort of grabbed some images that really, stuck with me as images that I feel fit a certain theme. I love this shot. Like, I love this shot so much. It would either be this one or this one for me. Someone bought this one. But like these moments where these people are like just in this gorgeous light by themselves, um, separated from the crowd, really makes me feel something. So, like I said, while you are able to execute really beautiful photographs with beautiful lighting, these are sort of a bunch of different stories to me. Like this is Holly light, right? This just feels like it
Correct.
belongs in a completely different category for me, and something like this feels the same way because it's just a completely different vibe, right? So are you following?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. Though light is the common theme that we are talking about, but you're saying regarding the context of the images being put together, correct?
Absolutely. And how, and so I'd love to hear from Jeremy on what I spoke about there.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense that these are so many beautiful images, and I love the way you use lighting here from it's like a lot of moments of like it feels like sunrise or sunset or something like epic happening where there's sun peeking through some sort of hole. It's like I mean it's within the title. The light in the series is beautiful. And at the same time, I think that we could cut down the series a little bit to make it more cohesive as a compared to all these different things happening within this series. Um, yeah, I think some some of these images just feel like they're from different photographers, which it shows that you could shoot a lot of different things, which is cool. It shows that you have different skill sets, but at the same time, I think it's more valuable to collectors to know like they could look at any photo and know that it's your photo.
Very well put. I couldn't have said it better. That's exactly how I feel. So it's like, and since it's open sea, and since there's only 2 images owned, right? Which is not a bad thing because those images work, right? That maybe you should get rid of the BMX bike one and a few of the other ones like that, the Holly Festival one, maybe this Train of Thoughts one, where this feels like it should be part of a documentary series on engineers. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's uh, an image like this at all. Where this is happening. Both great images. I love this image so much. I love it as maybe some of these you drop on Foundation as a one of one, and or maybe they just fit into a different series. Now I remember in school there was this teacher. Her name was Marsha Lipman, and she would say, you don't always have to go out and shoot towards a specific series. You could shoot a bunch of different photographs, and then at home you could have different shoe boxes. Well, because she was talking about film photography, and she was like, you could put different photos into different into different shoe boxes that you think fit well within that shoe box. And then by the end of the year, maybe you'll have 5 different stories. So try to think about it like that rather than, let me just take all of my best lighting and, portfolio worthy images and throw them into a collection, because even if you wanted them to just be one of one, they don't read as one of one on OpenSea. OpenSea forces it to be read as a collection. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Since it's just my, first week, I mean, I've just stepped into the second week as we speak. But yeah, learning from you guys and really wonderful feedback. That was exactly my thought process. Just wanted to have everything that has light in it to put together in a series. But now I understand how OpenSea works. Maybe we'll trim it down and just, make it slightly more coherent. Thank you.
Sure, would love to see when you trim it down. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm. So Unventured Paradise by Rez, or Resolution on Twitter. And he says, if the stars were visible only from one place on Earth, pilgrims would flock there more than anywhere else. That's a quote. Space is enormous, space is mysterious, space is the final frontier. Each galaxy is home to billions or even trillions of stars. They're in orbit around their central supermassive black hole, but our lifetimes are too short to detect any noticeable movements. This collection of billion-year rotation of 15 uniquely real galaxies in deep space are brought to life with the help of computer simulations. This magnificent collection is the result of countless nights spent in the remotest dark sky locations for the last 5 years. Holders will receive the original JPEG file as unlockable contents. Cool. And looks like you have 3 owners, so you've sold, I guess, probably 2 pieces or more, 2 pieces. So when I first saw these, I was like, wow, these are brilliant. And I didn't realize that there was a play button. And then I realized that there was a play button. And so you can open these and hit play. And look at that. If that's not beautiful, then I don't know what is. That's amazing. So is the artist here? Who said wow?
Hey folks, I'm here.
Did somebody say wow?
Yeah, that was me. I was just entering in some onomatopoeia. That's really cool.
Oh, the one I had opened with
Yeah, this
the
is
how.
Jeremy.
Yeah. So the artist is here. So these are really cool because I haven't exactly seen these movies. So are these photographs or are these computer simulations?
Can you hear me, folks?
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, guys. I want to thank you, Mike, for your support for the community, and Jeremy for being here. Yes, these are actual photos, all taken by me. They were turned into, rotating simulations. So the image is real, and the galaxy, as you see here, exists out there. But the simulation, the rotation of the galaxy is computer simulation.
Sure, and I'm totally fine with that. I thought, maybe the photographs weren't even real, and to find out that they're real photographs, and at a price of 0.1, I think most people would buy these even if they didn't rotate. But I like that they rotate. So what did you do? You used After Effects?
Yes, I used a combination of After Effects and an application called Pixel Loop, combined with other techniques that are used on still images to make these rotations. I was I was thinking that the still image wouldn't gather, wouldn't take the eye in. So as well as that, I had to see how they would rotate around their, central black hole. So that's a cool site. and I thought, why not include it in the OpenSea for others to see, or maybe have them in their collection.
Wow, look at this one. This is cool. No one owns this one yet either. I would be surprised that by the end of this, if someone doesn't buy one of these for 0.1. To be honest, I think this is really good work, and I love how experimental it is, and like how much time and effort you put into this, how cohesive it is. I think you did a really, really great job, and I think you deserve more than two owners. Um, and why don't you tell us a little bit of like, how do you take a deep space photo? You need a telescope, and then you need what? Do you need to attach a camera to a telescope, or is it a telescope camera? How do you do this?
Okay. First of all, you need a tripod that has a motor on it. It's called a mount that cancels the Earth rotation. Then you need to put a telescope on top of the mount that would act as your super telephoto lens. Then you have to attach a camera to that telescope, and your setup is complete. Then you have to take it to a remote site where the light pollution from the big cities won't get in the way of the distance photons that are coming from the cosmos to hit your telescope. The light pollution conceals that faint and distant light. Then all you need to have is patience. You sit by your telescopes for hours and hours so that faint and small photons hit your sensor. Most of these images are exposed for 10 hours or so. So that's it. You combine the collective amount of photons, and there you have your image.
I love how you kind of casually say it like it's no big deal. Like all you need to have is a little bit of patience. And you sit there for 10 hours. No, but this is it's really cool to hear the backstory of how you create them because it makes me even more drawn to the work. And I really admire you for your patience on creating these because I know speaking for me and Mike both as like portrait documentary photographers, we do not have that type of patience. So I can definitely appreciate and admire that.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Hello, Mustafa here again. May I add some stuff?
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a deep photographer, and I'm also one of the owner of this galaxies, the one called Whale Galaxy, which is one of my favorites. So as Reza was saying, there is actually two types of astrophotography for deep space. One is called broadband, and the other one is narrowband astrophotography. And here we see broadband astrophotography, and you cannot do this type of astrophotography from your backyard because then your neighbor's light or another car's light will not make you be able to get the light from the celestial object. And so these are called RGB or LRGB, just the normal that we see with our eyes or when we're shooting a portrait or a landscape photography. That is why there is no filter used to avoid other unwanted lights to come in and hit your sensor. And this makes this type of astrophotography even harder because you need to travel to a place where there is no light pollution. And on the other hand, these galaxies are so small in the sky, you have to have a really big focal length, at least 1000 millimeter. Imagine holding a 300 millimeter lens without editing and trying to shoot something. If you're not using very fast exposure, then most probably you will have some movement in your photo. That's why for this type of galaxy photos, you really have to adjust your mount and so-called auto-guiding, which helps tracking the sky so accurately, because some of these galaxies are so small, even smaller than 1 degree in the sky. And further and higher the focal length, tracking gets even more trickier. And another point is when we are looking at broadband astrophotography, LRGB, RGB photography, we have to look at the star colors. There are only two types of stars in terms of color: the blue stars, which are the younger stars, and also the more energetic stars. And the star gets older and older, its color turns into yellow, then into orange and red. So when we are looking at these type of photos, we have to look at the star color. If we see, let's say, green star, then that photo is not that good actually. But in this collection, sorry?
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah. So in this collection, when you go through it, you will see the star color is also very nice. And the other thing with stars, as I said, you have to have really accurate tracking and really accurate auto guiding. You have to have stars from corner to corner, especially around the corners. The stars get to elongate, or their shapes, their morphology will be changed. But if you have a look at these photos, you will see pinpoint stars from corner to corner. That all these factors make these photos very successful in terms of deep space astrophotography.
Thank you for that description, man. I appreciate that. Really
You're
cool.
Thank you, Mustafa. I'm sorry. Thank you for Mustafa. He's kind of legend in what we do. So he's also my first collector. So thank you for all the technical stuffs.
You're welcome, buddy.
Cool, man. I think the series is going to do really well, especially at this price point, and we just need to get more eyes on it. So thanks for coming up. And what's that?
Yeah, I agree too. It's anyone listening now want to add something to your collection. I think this is valued at a great price, and especially if you're into space. Something I would suggest, really quick before we move on to the next one. I feel like there's a big like space community on Twitter of people who are just I don't even know. I'm just sure there are people like obsessed with space that might be somewhat interested in NFTs. Like if you could somehow I don't know the strategy there. Tweet at them or DM them, or hey, I don't know if you know anything about NFTs, but I released this NFT project that I think you might be interested in. If you want to add this to your collection, as I see you're really into space. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, we could do stuff like that too. There's just like so many different ways of approaching like marketing and building and stuff on here. Like I'm always challenging myself every week in how I can further build the community. So like most recently I started what I call the art thread, where I got tired of seeing shill threads where people would farm engagement and not reply to anything, and people just dump their photos on there helplessly trying to get a sale. And so I started the art thread, which and a lot of things that you do in the space or in just life in general has a lot to do with your wording and your intention. And so the way I word my threads is like, this is an art thread. Be respectful, post your work here, talk about others' work, retweet the work of others, and please engage. And then that's what the art threads become. And tons of quality work comes in there. And just for instance, this week I switched over from that to the week before that, sort of DMing, big collectors and presenting them with, emerging artists that had work like this, that didn't have enough eyes on it, and saying like, hey, I think this body of work is really strong at this price point, and like having them buy it up. Like I'm trying to figure out new ways to, grow the space and stuff. And what I'm trying to get at is, you could find new ways to get new eyes on this. You just have to think outside the box in this space. So really good work.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for your support. I really enjoyed that, tweet you sent about the art shilling, not just the shilling. Thank you for the support, the community. You're a gem, basically.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Cool. So we'll talk about the emotion of water. And do we have the artist with us today? It looks like it's Anlit Prabhakar, and this looks to be it's black and white, a monochromatic series. So I'll read a little bit here of the artist statement. Waters are our planet's lifeline, but it may also serve as a metaphor. You can flow through life with the ease of a single drop of rain water purifying the land, or the perseverance of a river carving out canyons over thousands of years, since water is not a solid wall, and it will not stop you. Water is softer than anything else on the planet, but nothing can stand up to its might. Water's presence on Earth elicits a wide range of emotions, from wrath elicited by turbulent seas and catastrophic flooding to caring and affection elicited by lake. Its serenity is emphasized here through long exposure pictures in black and white. Monochrome makes us pause and look closely because we see the world in color. Removing color from an image helps the viewer focus on the subject's emotional condition while removing distractions. Black and white images have a timeless art appeal and give viewers a new perspective. I really like this this artist statement. So dive into some of the photographs. You can see, I favored some of them. Look at some of the ones that I favorited first.
Yeah,
I
artists
really
are
like
strong.
good one, right? It
Yeah.
looks like he has long descriptions too, and he has the addition and stuff in there. A lot to read. I can't read through all the descriptions right now, but also add in your description those things we've talked about, like the the collection, the name of the collection, name of the artist, and you already have one of one. So yeah, rain. This shot, rain and emotions. There's something I really like about it. Go ahead. What's up, Jeremy?
All right, I was just gonna say, there's one that just like totally jumps out at me, and like actually is literally is a jumping shot too. The surfer jumping off the surfboard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that image is stunning. I love that.
Yeah, I favorited that one too. And he's it's beautiful. Yeah, some stuff just in black and white is just really works really well. And a lot of these, like this stood out to me too. This like super stillness.
Yeah, so that's the thing though. Even though that image does stick out to me the most, and I love that so much. Like looking at this whole series as a whole, along with the hearing the artist statement and what this project is about. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's almost like it doesn't fit, even though it's kind of my favorite image.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like I've
Like a
told this
perfect
story.
example of someone putting together a series, and like even if sometimes it's the strongest image, it could be a really amazing image, but it could possibly not fit in the series. Because if anyone listening right now, if you have this series brought up, I mean, or just looking at Mike's screen share, you can see all the other images have a certain sense of stillness and softness, and then yeah, the surfer jumping, it doesn't give that to me, but the one of the guy a couple photos later, lonely, just sitting at the rock, does. And then I think the other one that doesn't really stick out for me is calmness before the storm. It looks like it actually is storming. Like the sky looks a little scary above.
I think that this picture is just like, in my personal taste, like over edited for me
It looks a
compared to.
little HDR-y for this series.
Yeah, it's like a little too much, but like it, and it's I don't there's a weird softness about it too. It's like almost like HDR, but the clarity was softened. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's some of the editing and some of these are not cohesive to the other pieces. Let's look at this for instance. So this has a lot of detail, but I don't feel like this is over detailed. This shot, this feels right to me. But I do hear what you're saying about that surf shot, and I really like it. But maybe it belongs in a different series. But something like this certainly belongs in this series. I feel like I love this. I love the movement of the ocean.
Agreed. Super simple, but has some nice movement to it, and it's still like has that feeling of calmness.
Yeah, it can be simple, but it can also be complex in the way that it makes you think. I sort of feel the same way about this Rain and Emotions one, which is like really simple, but it just like it reminds me of like those little things in life that really make me remember like sometimes how beautiful life is, whether it's just like little raindrops falling off like this or just the sound of rain. So I definitely agree with you on that surf shot. I think it's one of the best shots in the series, and it just doesn't fit in the series. And it's that's always hard to hear. Photo editor told me that one time. That a photo I had in there that was the best one, and they were like, "Well, it doesn't fit the story, so put it on your refrigerator." And I was like, "Oh, well, this is an editor for New York Times, so like, I'm not going to argue with that." And I afterwards I understood what that meant. There's a lot of beautiful images in here, and like it's about the emotion of water, and I think that there's something here about the emotion of water, but I don't. It's a little too it's a little too actiony to fit with the vibe of some of the other images. I'd like to see like a more consistent editing on these because like even like you look at something like this and the editing, it's a beautiful photograph, but the editing is much more gray and it's a lot less punchy in the whites and blacks. Where if you look at something like like this is like a very high contrast, punchy white and blacks image, which, and I like that shot. And then, the same goes for something like this, which I honestly think is probably the least strong image in the entire series for me. And, a lot of that has to do with just like tons of details lost in this. It feels just like whitewashed over, like it's a completely different black and white filter. If you're not shooting this in film, it's a completely different filter than some of the rest. So I think, this sort of has that same soft feel too, and sort of this lack of detail, and kind of drawn more to the ones that are, a little bit punchier, a little bit more detailed. And if they don't have that punchiness and detail, then I feel like it works better in the images that deserve that. Yes. I think this is like one of those incidents where like I think this series can be turned down from like maybe 15 to you know 10, 8, you know 8 to 10 images that sort of really tell the story from the from the artist statement perspective. And again, the descriptions are really good and long, as long as you have those basic parts of the descriptions that we talked about. But that's like really all I have for the collection, unless the artist is here.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Sure, because we are almost 2 hours in. So so here we have Portraiture, Portraiture, is that how you say it? By Jamil Bader, and these are some really beautiful landscape shots. I love how he starts with the delightful smell, because I remember hearing someone talk about these photographs the other day and say, wow, I could literally smell these photographs because they really do have this quality that feels like you're just like there and you could feel the wetness and everything like that. And,
I miss that smell. Being
right?
inside of the city for so long, I miss that smell.
Right? I feel you.
Yeah. Is Jamil here?
Yeah, I am. Let's see.
Cool.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Incredible work. Incredible work,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's pronounced petrichor, and it's actually, the word itself is describing the smell after fresh rain, essentially.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I did not know that, and now I do, and I think you nailed it, dude, because like some of these images I really want to smell the image. As weird as that sounds. I also really love your choice in depth of field. Like, I don't think every photograph in landscape needs a full depth of field, and I think this is a really good example, because like I love how we're just paying attention to the petals and the flowers, the purples in this, and I don't need all this back here to be in focus, because it has this sort of weird, not weird, but this sort of dreariness to it, because it's kind of out of focus, that I really like. You kind of see the raindrops coming down, but I don't know. It gives some, almost like some movement and feeling of like realness to this. I really love this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can see I favorited some of these. So you have two road shots. You have this one, right?
Yeah.
Around the bend. It's really nice. And then you have this one, which I find to be the stronger image. I think it beats it up by a lot, actually. I think it's a lot better. I love that this road just goes straight, and I love that it's not perfect. Like, I love that it's jagged, these lines into this jaggedy sort of like, where are we going? It gives it some sense of that it's not a straight line. I don't know. It gives it some sense of like mystery or danger, like where are we heading with this? And the leading line is just phenomenal into this deep fog, and the colors from this, like, it looks like sunlit greens into like these hunter greens. I think this is so good. Um, you know, looking at this overall and seeing that you don't have that many sales. How long ago did you come out with the series?
I think middle of October, potentially.
So 3 months, right? Um, incredible work. 3 months. Only it's like two sales.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So you have 20 images, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I count because sometimes OpenSea is wrong.
Yeah, it's 20.
Yeah, 20. So maybe it might be best to make this like the most solid, like 10 or
Yeah,
12.
I agree. There I think the thing that would help this series the most is to edit down, because yeah, beautiful images, but looking over it, there are a couple of photos that just are pretty much doubles. Like, for example, number 13 and number 19. Um, to me, they're both beautiful photos, but they're pretty much the same photo, except one has a subject in it and one doesn't, and same composition and everything.
Yep.
So I would just go through like those two, for example, pick one out of those two.
And
For
these
me,
trees.
for me, I would pick the one with the subject in it, because it just that's just my preference. I like how there's something in the center there, something happening there.
Right.
And then also, for example, if you look at number 15 and number 3, they're also pretty similar because even though one's like a trail and or one's a road trail and one's a regular trail, but it's both like same composition, same tall trees, same path in the center. Then there's also a person in the center, so it's kind of similar. I would pick one of those two. And then also number 12 and number 7, they're both same composition of trees in the mountains. Um, one is like I could see is like twin trees growing together, which I think is pretty cool. But the other one, I really like how there's the trees in the background a little bit. So yeah, that'd be a tough one to pick through between those two. But I would say if we are editing down, which I would recommend, I would pick one of those two since they're very similar. And then also the road ones, number 5 and number 17. I would just pick one of those roads. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Yeah, but like stuff like that. For any artist that's listening right now that's creating a series, I think that's like the biggest critique that I see in most that I would make in most series as we've been talking about is we tend to like, we shoot all these photos and we love them and they are beautiful photos, but you could have more value. Less is more, and if you'll have more value with your work with collectors if you have a smaller amount of images in your series can speak volumes.
Absolutely. You're really good at this, Jeremy. I really appreciate it. Exactly what you did what you did there is exactly what I did, because if you look at my edit, it's pretty much like, and I'm not saying that you should only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not saying you should only have 9, but I didn't have much time, so I kind of went through. But like, this is like an edit that like I was looking at, where like I think these are like really strong images, and like I took the one that Jeremy said, just like he said, like the one with the subject. I took the one road, you know.
Yeah, and
This
also this is don't feel like you're forced to do anything. Like you could still totally do them up. This is just our suggestions. I just want to make sure that's clear too.
exactly.
Oh, no, totally. Interestingly enough, like some of the directions that you're leaning in is already something I've been considering myself. So it's interesting to see that you, like all three of us have kind of aligned in the same direction of which images we might select. Like there's still a couple that will be a bit of a tough decision, but I definitely agree on a lot of what you said as far as which ones I would select and between some of the ones that are a little bit similar.
And also what could be helpful is if you're ever not sure, you're doing some editing down, also feel free to put yourself in a collector's shoes, like if they look at your series. Like for example, looking at Mike, can you go back to the images that you selected yourself?
Yeah.
So if you look at the also if you look at the OpenSea, bring up the OpenSea. First, sorry.
It's okay.
See the collection here, it's a bunch of beautiful images, but you kind of it's zoomed out. You could see a bunch, and a lot of them, like you can see some of them look the same. And then if you go to Mike's folder, like as a collector, like it's like less images that are.
It's like you feel like you really have something that is important that no one else has in the collection. If you bought it,
you want to snap up that one that you're most drawn to before someone else does. Like
totally.
Yeah, I love this, what I have going on here, and I think you could add a couple more to this. I think the car, I like this. I like this car one too, because I love the mistiness that comes from the car, and I kind of love the idea that there's somebody coming through. Like, there's a few that like, I'd add. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that this is as strong as some of the other ones. Someone may disagree. It's nice, but definitely, you're an awesome photographer, man. I mean, this inspires me. I'm going, like I said, I'm going to shoot some landscape stuff in the Amazon. Really love this stuff, but like, yeah, from a collector's point of view, like these two tree photos, like, as a collector, I'd rather, one be there over the other. I mean, if I had to choose, I'd probably go with this one. I do like the blue misted background. I love how they're both the trees are kind of standing tall. I think that's a gorgeous image. I think the blue with the green works really well. Not to say that this one's not. It's just compositionally it doesn't fall as well as the other one, and the color relationships just aren't there like they are here. This is more of a standout image to me, at least. But your titles are really good. And I mean, I think you know what to do. Like this shot here, I don't think Little Wanderer. Don't think it's as good as this Little Wanderer. I think this is the Little Wanderer that needs to stay. That's and this is another one of those series where I feel like if you do that, like if you do call this down, like even before you call this down, I would not be surprised if I see like some buys on this series after the AMA.
Well, thank you. Yeah, interestingly, like I was in a Twitter space actually recently, and it was the first time I had asked the question of like, like looking at my collection and wondering, should I cull some of it down? And at that time, I was thinking about kind of some of the same images, but didn't get the visual component. Like there wasn't an ability to actually look directly at the images and get direct feedback. So kind of getting to go through it in this way is really helpful. And honestly, I'm someone who, even when I get a confirmation on something, I'll still sit with it for a while. But like getting both of you saying very similar things as to which images you feel stand out more and which images you think would be better off not part of the collection is really fantastic feedback. And not sure which ones will end up making the final cut. Obviously, some of the best ones, but I'm definitely going to be sitting down with it over the next week and bringing it down to somewhere in that 10 to 14 image range. So
absolutely. And don't feel that the images that you pull out go to waste. Just think that you're going to have another series where those shots will fit into a new series where it doesn't take up space in this series next to something that's similar to it. You could create a brand new series with a different name that has to do with something different. So just keep these in your shoebox of shots that you're going to use, for the next series.
Definitely. I don't take it as a reflection of like them being bad or not being able to be used for something else. Like honestly, I really appreciate it because, when I first released this, I was a little bit earlier in the space, but I was, I had a few friends who were encouraging me to create a collection and was inspired to make this one. And initially, like, I had a handful of people give me some feedback, but a lot of it was just like, oh, this is really great, and just very positive feedback and not more on the constructive side. So for me, it was like, okay, these are all relatively cohesive and they work well together, but no one was really pointing out, the stronger images and how it could be even stronger than it already was. So this is great, and I 100% appreciate it.
Well, in their defense, they're not just going to give you feedback for no reason, right?
Right.
And at the same time, when you tell your friends, yeah, your series is great, and it does need some help, I mean, that doesn't really help anyone. So like, we're here to, get you to the next best version of yourself as an artist and through this editing. So like, use that to your advantage. And anyone who's listening, if you haven't been picked for it, like just take from what we said here and just apply it to your series. And you're gonna watch it grow. And after you finish the changes, please share it with us on Twitter and tag me and tag Jeremy and tag MetaJungle and everyone involved, and let us know that you executed the changes so that we could see it, because now you have just become more collectible. And maybe one of us will collect it, or maybe someone else on Twitter will collect it, or you just showing us that shows us a lot of integrity, and we're going to retweet to our audiences, which have lots of engagement, and there'll be someone there to buy, and Yeah, really appreciate you up here, and really appreciate your ability to take on the feedback, man. You're there's not an image in here that isn't good.
Well, thank you, and thank you again. I'm excited to polish it up and show you guys once it's ready to be refreshed and re-revealed, essentially.
For sure. Cool, man. Thank you so much. Keep in touch.
Thank you.
Cool. Souls of the World 2. Souls of the World 2 dash part 2. I don't know if you need to write that twice, but this is from Nicole Sharma. And so 20 items, and it says Souls of the World Part 2 is a collection of 20 one-on-one photographs of people I met during my travel journey. It took me 7 years and 8 countries to visit and meet these people. And souls. These souls tell the story of courage and joy, patience in life, no matter how hard or difficult life is. But a simple smile won't take too much. Sometime it make the other person's day. That's true. A smile goes a long way, especially in street photography, man. Sometimes your vibe means a lot when you're out there in the street. If you seem creepy and weird or unsure of yourself, then that's the times when the people are going to say, "What are you taking a picture of?" Or they're going to try to come at you. But I tend to try to move with. I tend to move gracefully and confidently in the street. And after I snap a photo of somebody and they catch me, sometimes I'll just throw them a genuine smile, and that goes a long way because they'll smile back because they know your intentions are good. It says, I feel the joy of the light of life comes from people. So more you connect with people with love and gratitude, more your world becomes beautiful and joyful. In all my years of traveling, I tried to collect these stories to gather more courage and joy for myself. Every soul here reminds me of how beautiful life could be if we just face it with smile and positivity. There's years and years of history and traditions on these faces. I'd love to share these beautiful souls with you all and their stories of life and culture and traditions. So really, really, really well written artist statement. Definitely means a lot to me. Love it. Sounds before I even go into the work that it's actually about portraits or environmental portraits. And Jeremy does a lot of portraits and a lot of environmental portraits. So I'm sure he has a lot to say about this one. At first glance, I definitely feel like this could be more than one series because, well, this image here, Shop on Wheels, doesn't exactly fit your artist statement, and it's black and white and vertical and doesn't really feel like there's much of that going on in the series. Outside of that, we have a lot of portraits, like close-up portraits. And then we have a lot of like environmental portraits like these, right? And then we have like some other stuff like this. To me, feels like it really doesn't fit at all within this. And we have some images like this, which I would say fall on the same lines of that. Not to say it's not a beautiful image, because it is, but I don't know that it fits. And so there's a few different things going on here. One, I do like your portraits, okay? But the strongest portraits to me are like the ones that are a little more environmental. I think you nail it when it's kind of like in the middle between like fully environmental and just like giving enough space for them. I think this is a really wonderful one here. I also love this truly environmental ones like this. Like this, that's a beautiful shot, and a really well done composition where like this man is the subject and the atmosphere is beautiful, and it kind of leads to the next subject all the way down the line. It's like a leading line of that. But as you see, I don't exactly know how a shot like that fits in the same series as like maybe a shot like this, right? So, and there's some image that I don't find as strong as the others, and it's when you are. It seems to me when you're photographing people that are like a lot further away in your environmental portraits, like, you know, this one, for instance. And some of these feel like they have a softness to them a bit, and maybe the color temperature could be fixed a little bit better, and maybe a little bit of clarity might be added. Like if we're looking at these, for instance, these watermelons here, whatever fruit this is, we've lost all the color in it because your color temperature is off. So you can always pull that, fix your color temperatures. But in general, I think this, like these ones are just not as strong to me. And might be some other opinion on that, but interesting. Like, love the colors and stuff. Not completely sold by like her expression in this. And then you have like some stuff like this that's just like really beautiful, right? But this is where we start to feel like it's a series that comes from like a multitude of different photographers, because when you have something like that, and then I love this shot. I think this might be like one of my favorite shots in the series. Like just these hands, these dirty hands, and this like this contrast, and just how well the color temperature in this true to life compared to the color temperatures that I pointed out that are just like not very true to life. I definitely think that we can either make this into like two different series, or like really hone down on making this series, not 20 images, but maybe a really strong 10. How do you feel on this, Jeremy, since you do shoot a lot of portrait work and there's a lot of environmental stuff in here as well?
Yeah, I think it should. Oh wow, I'm getting an echo now. Okay, I think I'm good. I love the portraits. That's what I'm most drawn to. It's like yeah, looking at this series, there's so many like can you click back real quick so I can see the whole series? I'm all about that
Yeah.
big beard too. Looking at the series as a whole, it's like so many beautiful images of different moments, but I think it lacks some cohesion between them. Like I like seeing all these photos of different faces, and I think the series as a whole would be a lot stronger if it was a series of like 10, 15, 20 faces in the same composition. Like there's a lot of common denominator of the same composition and the same idea of just different faces. And then we also have these like traveling images. Like even this one, it's like a great shot, but it's like in black and white and edited a little differently. It seems like it's like from a different series or a different photographer.
This one here.
Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah.
amazing image, like the detail of the wrinkles and the black and like it's really cool. It's a really great portrait, but it doesn't fit in with everything else that's going on in the series.
It
And
doesn't necessarily fit to this.
a quick tip also is any photographer, I would just it's 99% of the time I would say either make your series black and white or color. I wouldn't do both. Because once you do both, I think it could come off as a little bit more not as seasoned of a photographer. You want it to look like cohesive, like all one series. So, yeah, would you agree with that, Mike?
I do. I mean, I think there's a rare instances where people can do black and white and color together, but I don't know that this is that series. And I think that it's like it's in the same way in which like we talk about how less is more, but there are series that deserve more, like Justin Aversano's Twin Flames, because it's like 100 different identical twins, or Will Nichols' 100 Palm Trees, because now you're operating in a sense of collectibles, right? So if you think about it in a sense of like baseball cards or comic books or something like that, like now you want one piece of that 100, which is like, so there are always rules to be broken, but I think that they need to be broken with true intention. And I don't know that this series is one of the series that have that, where you can break the rules, like in a sense of having, you know, really far back environmental stuff mixed with like black and white and mixed with like silhouetted stuff like this. It feels like just a bunch of different collections. And luckily enough, you know, you only have two owners. So, you know, you can still cull down this image set, and you can still, you know, make it more cohesive and make it closer to sellout, so that, you know, you can, you know, but some of these images like this Ring of Fire and this evening prayer, and you know, this shot here into the late evening, these are much different. They're really beautiful, but they're just much different from what else is going on. It's a different series, so I'd love to see them within a different series, and you know, maybe something like this too. Life After Darkness fits in with that type of genre as well. But yeah, we have plenty of great photographs here. They're just jumbled all together, and that's my biggest concern. And let's look at the uh, so we have in the descriptions. We have a description. And the photo is by Nicole, one of one image. Good description. Just throw in the collection name in there. And Nicole, you're like a multifaceted photographer. Like, this dude shoots like, look at this work. Like, look at the landscape stuff. Are you looking at this, Jeremy? It's like he shoots like a multitude of different stuff, and he's really, really, really talented. Some of the stuff on Foundation too.
Green lights in Norway.
What's that?
Are those like that photos?
That Aurora Borealis here, this photo's insane. But so he's, you know, he's also a portrait photographer doing landscape. It's sort of like me, like where I'm kind of jumping around between all different genres, and then it sort of becomes hard to know, like, what is my best landscape photos within these. Well, I'm sorry, what are my best portrait photos within these? Because I'm so used to shooting landscapes that now you have to like kind of learn like how to judge a whole new genre for yourself, and it's tough. And so that's like, hopefully we can help with that, you know. And if the artist has anything to say, that'd be cool. And if not, then we can move on. We have two more bodies of work to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think they're here.
Okay, cool. So look, they could watch the recording for sure. Thanks, Glenn.
Start off the next one, Mike. You've been starting off all of them. I'll give you a little break to your vocal cords.
Okay, so then which one do you want to start? Then we have this one here, and then we have minimal moments.
Let's start off with minimal moments.
I like it.
Is
Cool.
a photographer for minimal moments in here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, minimal moments looks like it's by Twitter handle. Ooh, sorry, I got something stuck in my throat.
It's Himanshu Photos.
Himanshu Photos. And the artist statement is Minimal Moments is a collection by Himanshu Pagaria. Himanshu is a photographer based out of India. He is practicing this craft for the last 3 years. So right off the bat, how do we feel, Mike? How do we feel about writing in third person these bios? Do you think it's a good idea, bad idea, or is it indifferent?
Himanshu is a photographer, but I don't really lean towards third person. I lean to like how things make me feel, and I feel like it's more personal, and I would stay away from third person in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That's a critique right off the bat. I want to feel like I'm collecting. I want to feel like I'm collecting directly from the photographer and not from someone who's maybe running this page or writing, the statement from photographer, etc. So 20. So I would just change that slightly and just write in first person. And then it goes 21 of 1 editions of minimal fine art photographs. In my photography journey, I always love to click minimal frames. and the series is a collection of those fine art images as one-of-one NFTs. Its goal is to encourage people to find happiness in simpler things in life and to enjoy and less rather than wanting more. There will be a special airdrop for 2 first collectors when the whole collection gets sold out. All the first collectors will get a 1-day photo shoot at Jaipur or Agra whenever they visit India. 20 pieces will be the total amount for now in the first batch, and the second batch will be dropped in early 2022. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it has some utility. That's
A
cool.
little bit of incentive to collect, which is cool. I like that. I like the description. Something about descriptions though that I kind of juggle with a little bit is I think it's best when it's written when it explains the series, but it also leaves it up for interpretation for the viewer. So not like saying it exactly what it is.
I agree with that. I feel the same way about photographs, and I'd love to relay that to these photographs. That, like, I say this often that you know I find some of the greatest photographs to ask me more questions than just give me answers. And there's clearly ones that I've favorited in here that are really abstract and bring me to like this imaginative, dreamlike state that feel minimal but complex in my thoughts that I've favorited, and I've created a folder of the ones that I enjoy the most. And I just wanted to relate that to that as well. But I'll let you continue with your thought. But I do have a folder of the ones that I did select on my own after. But I'd love to hear what you
Go
like.
over this first, or should I talk about it first?
Yeah, no, you should talk about it first. Cool.
Okay, cool. So I'm looking through this series now, and I think it's cool if it falls under the theme of minimal, which is good. It has that cohesion, so I think that's a strong point of the series. It has similar color editing in all the images except a couple, like which number 12 is showing up first for me of the ducks, and number 20, those two of the ocean, and those colors just seem a little bit different from the rest of the series.
It's just not as minimal either, though. That shot.
It's not as minimal as you can see. Like there's the ducks there, but you can see the whole city in the background and the details of the water and the details of the foreground with all the things in the water right there. So yeah, it's not as minimal. I would cut down that one. I do like
It's less
the
thought provoking. It's a little less thought provoking than some of the other ones too, right? That are a little more abstract.
Agreed. I think the strongest. I think this series would be even more cohesive if it had this reoccurring theme of the silhouetted subject, whether it's a bird or a person. Like if we cut it down so it was all that, I think the series would be even more cohesive. Like yeah, also like the locust attack, I might take that out. It's like a lot going on in that image, obviously. And I might take out the Taj Mahal photo, number 9, because the exposure is a little strange to me, whether it's foggy or there's some sort of process, but it doesn't seem like any of the rest of the images. Also, it's the Taj Mahal. It feels like a little forced because it's such a beautiful building, and like it feels like you just wanted to put that image in there because it's like an iconic location. But I think it like takes away from the series a little bit.
How about this pigeon? This is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, which pigeon one? Oh yeah, that's great.
With the rainbow.
By knowing you as a photographer, I feel like you'd take an image like that. So
I probably would. I'm a little biased.
Yeah. Although I would say my personal taste, I love the image. I think it's a little obvious to me that the sky is edited to be more purple, which is totally okay. It's subjective, but for me personally as a collector, I like more realistic photos when I like photos that are edited but not too edited to be like unrealistic. Unless it's like specified that these are photoshopped, etc. So, um for me, I would personally like if that photo, the sky was like bluer instead of purpler.
Which shot is that? Which one?
The pigeon that we were just talking about.
Oh, the pigeon one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I think the photos that I'm most drawn to are the Chasing Sunsets one, which is number 14, the Caught in Action, number 2. There's a bird, a person, and a tree. It's really simple, really beautiful. I even love the motion in Fly High, how the photographer is really capturing the bird flying across the frame, and I love seeing the tree like a little out of focus, a little blurred because there's some movement happening in that image.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I also another photo that really sticks out to me is number 15, the first flight. How that bird is perfectly composed within those two, like the corner of those two buildings. It's pretty, or the edge of that building. It's pretty cool. And then the last thing I'd say before, sorry, I've been blabbering a lot, Mike.
No, you're good.
I think the first image in your series, Mike, would you say when you're making a series, would you ideally make like the number one image in your series, like one of the more important ones or one of the more stronger images of the series?
When I think about a photo series or a photo collection, I try to think of it as like a movie. Like if you go to the movie theater, I want it to be like the opening shot. I think you should open strong, and I think that you should end strong. And then I think that but it depends also because like if we're not talking about storytelling, we're just talking about architecture, for instance, that's not like a movie. So it's like I still think I would want to open strong and end strong always. I think that's
Agreed.
when relating to a story, stories usually want to open strong and end strong. So I think so.
So in that case, the number one photo, if you click on it, liquid gold, it's yeah, that first one,
Yeah,
number one.
I'm looking at it. So Jeremy, a little trick on the right side. If you look at these by oldest,
Oh, cool.
then it shows it in order if they uploaded it in the correct order. And that's
Okay.
that's a pro tip that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so looking at oldest, number one is liquid gold, and that one doesn't feel like a good opener to me. I think there's better ones to open it with, and I think also I would maybe take that image out of the series. For my personal taste, I think a lot of the other images in the series are a lot stronger than that
Yep,
one.
I agree. I could show you guys kind of what I like. And some of the images that Jeremy really liked, I didn't put in mine. So it's all perspective, right? So like this is kind of like what I like. These were, I would say, the images that felt really minimal and kind of felt like I was asking more questions than I was giving answers. We go through these. So I really loved that shot. Really love that one. Pigeon shot. This bird with because this is interesting because it looks like the sky, but it also looks like there's ripples here, like it's the water. So it really really tripped me out, made me think. Love that one there, and I did kind of like the Taj Mahal one. But after hearing you talk about it, I don't think it's the strongest one within. But these are the ones that that stood out to me, like as a series. But it's good to have different opinions. But I definitely, I definitely think the Ducks need to go. I definitely think that this shot, Mother's Love, is like I see where you're trying to be abstract, but like it's so small that it's like hard to see that like this, I don't know, monkey and the baby monkey, like it's just it doesn't. I know what you're going for, but compositionally, I don't think it worked. Liquid gold, like Jeremy said, it's not as strong as the rest, and the color is just way too stand out compared to the rest. Um, this shot here, um, I think you're better than this. Like I think you're more clever than this. I think you're better than this. And I think this shot needs to go. And yeah, I think that's like the critique on it. Like I think we could probably bring this down from like 20 images to between 10 and 12 or 10 and 15 or actually maybe 10 and 15 since they already have 7 owners. 7 people already own these images, so yeah, they're doing well on selling. So That's a good thing. Pigeon one was picked up. This bird one was picked up. This boat one was picked up. Taj Mahal's actually picked up already, so that doesn't need to come out. And this guy was picked up, so very cool. What about the descriptions? Yep, descriptions are great. Artist collection, boom, perfect. That's exactly what we need in descriptions. And yeah, I think that's it. If unless the artist is here and they have something to say, then I think we can move on to the last collection. All right, we'll move on to the last collection. So I'm gonna try to pronounce this Le Cinque Terre, and I don't know if anyone in here knows. It sounds French or something. If anyone knows what that is, how that's pronounced, but I'll try to read the artist statement here. Is not only my first collection, is above all a truly, I think that's representation of my life, of my land, where I live, and where I was grown up. This land, whose small villages are so iconic, had a deep and ancient story behind, rooted into the rocks, shaped for millennia by the relentless force of the sea. In this collection, I have captured the most unique and fantastic conditions that you ever see. Snow, thunderstorm, sea storm, mist, unbelievable sunset, and sunrise, all in one collection. Probably the most intense and unique collection of photos of Sea Village, the Five Lands. So, first impressions of like reading the artist statement. Obviously, English is not your first language, so there's a bit of a language barrier here. So I could totally help with writing this so that some things like representation and some of these other small errors can be fixed. But another thing that kind of stood out to me was that you're telling me, I'm the collector, or you're telling us as the audience that these are the most unique and fantastic and photos of the village, and so it feels like you're sort of bragging a little bit. I don't exactly resonate as much with the artist statement just because of that piece. The beginning was good for me, and I think you should touch a little bit more on that, and like what these landscapes mean to you and what it feels like to be out there with the camera and photographing these landscapes and stuff like that. I want it to feel like a bit more personal. And so, I went through the series and I favorited some shots, and what I noticed was that, well, one, you have no owners, right? So that there's no one who owns. Is the artist here? There's no owners so far.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fine. So they don't have any sales on the work. Their floor price is 0.2. I think there's certainly some standout images here over the others. I personally believe that like this photographer sees better horizontally than they do vertically. So I kind of grabbed some of the images out of there and kind of showed what I thought was like the standout stuff for me. Like, look how epic this landscape looks, like the seascape, and I love this. This is beautiful. That's gorgeous, right? Really, really phenomenal stuff here. Like, and I feel like these really, really great photographs get lost in a sea of too much work. 40 images. So, I'd personally focus more on like getting this down. Like, even if, especially if this is your first series and you have no sales yet, I would get this down to 10 images. And what I just showed you there was what, 6 images? No offense at all. I would find 4 more images, and I'd bring this to 10 images, and I would I would try to build relationships within the community. I mean, I might have missed some great ones. Build relationships in the community. That's another great one. I'd probably add that in there, and and market it as a smaller series. And if you're going to include images that are not as strong as others, then maybe have a lower price point on those set images, because I maybe it's just me, but like some of the vertical shots are really good, but I don't think they're as well seen as the that's really nice. As some of the horizontal ones, and maybe I'm just more particular to horizontal, but do you have any comments on this series, Jeremy?
Sorry, I'm like just rushed back from the bathroom. I'm looking at this series now.
Oh, okay. Did you hear any of what I was talking about or not?
At the beginning, yeah. So let me bring it up on my screen really quick. The images a little bit.
Check my screen, and these are images that I thought were like the strongest, like 6. These horizontals. I think the way he sees horizontally is really compelling, and I think that these like really strong shots. And
Yeah,
so
those last
yeah,
two.
but yeah, right. And like I feel like it's hard for me to find those shots because there's so many other shots. And so like I think it needs like a really strict edit down.
Yeah, I agree. Should only be the wide shots. The vertical ones don't seem as strong. And also, yeah, it's like some of these night shots with the fireworks, etc. Like it seems a little forced to be in this series, like as in like it's only in the series because the fireworks are happening, but I don't think it's saying anything as much compared to the other ones.
Exactly. I felt the same way. And so and the same thing with this, where it's like yeah, you have a beautiful vortex of stars images, but it just doesn't make sense to the rest of the series. And just because it's a great shot doesn't mean that it belongs in this series. And so don't flood your series with 40 images if you could break this down into 2 to 3 different series and just sell out one at a time. So like and then your descriptions are lacking. So like this description, the last light hit the small village of uh, Vernaza. Like add to your description that that important information for the collectors, right? But your artist name, the collection name, and the edition. If it's one of one, artist needs to know that it's one of one. But yeah, I don't think to spend too much time on this last collection, and I think that is that's my feedback. I just think these horizontal shots are just so gorgeous. Like I want to be there in them, whereas in some of the horizontal ones, I just don't have that same feeling. And then you have 2 shots that are very similar. So there's this shot, and they're just shot at different times of the day. I love what's going on here with this light and what's going on with this water here. And then you have this shot that shot. It's the same exact shot, basically, almost, and shot at a different time of the day, which I think is also beautiful. But might have to pick one of those. So, yeah, this was just a simple one where I think it's a great landscape photographer that just really, you don't have to mint everything. Like, and it's like that's a very new thing to do. Like when we get into the space, like we want to mint everything, but we've spoken about, like less is certainly more. It's pretty. But I mean, I think that kind of concludes, like, I guess the this critique portion of of the AMA. And I hope that a lot of people were able to take a lot out of what was said, and really happy to have Jeremy here with us today. Really appreciate you, Jeremy. Provided like a lot of valuable information that either was like really aligned with what I already had thought up about the series, or was some things that like you brought to light that I didn't think about. So I love the dynamic, and I would love to be able to do this again with you. So appreciate that.
We crushed it, Mike. I love doing this with you and just talking. I could talk about photography for days. So much cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, and thanks MetaJungle for allowing Jeremy to co-host while Dan is away, and I think it worked out really well. And appreciate you guys for everything you guys do for the community. I think Jeremy's seeing now that like MetaJungle is like a strong force within the community.
Hey,
So,
Mike.
Yeah. Hey.
We did have a question, and it's when you delist an item from a collection, is it gone forever, or can you put it in a different collection?
So there's a difference between like deleting like a photo from your collection, which costs no money, and then there's a difference between, I think, what would be considered delisting, which is called burning the image, and that costs a gas fee so that it's no longer minted on the blockchain. So I think the answer is that if you delete from your collection without paying any gas money, that you can use it in another collection.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Was there any other questions from anyone on here that maybe wants to like throw a question into the AMA live chat?
No, I think that was it.
All right, cool. Well, cool guys. Awesome AMA. Really had a lot of fun, and yeah, hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. So I can get ended there and look forward to seeing the replay.
Cool. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, MetaJungle, for having me along for this. It's been fun. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Hope everyone has a great day. And also, everyone, remember to stay hydrated.
Yeah, for real. Stay hydrated. Go outside, too.
Thank you, guys.
Go to the gym sometimes. All right, guys. Bye-bye now. Signing off in 3, 2, 1. I'm out.